So thank you everyone for joining our webinar about a really new exciting LLM that's in AI and the law. My name is Karina Lin. I am the Senior Marketing and Communications Officer for the School of Law, and I'm here with the Program Director for AI and the Law, Laura Edgar. So she's going to take you through the program, talk about what it's like, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to put them in the Q&A section. I'll respond to anyone that I can. And then at the end, we'll save some time for questions specifically for Laura, but I'll pass it over to you, Laura.
Super. Thank you very much, Karina. So welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for attending this session. The idea today is for me to tell you something about the programme, to get an idea of what it involves, how it's structured, and what we at Queen Mary offer you in terms of attending as a student and the benefits of studying this programme and also coming to Queen Mary. So I want to just talk you through the programme. I know there may be some questions that I don't address. If you pop them in the Q&A, Karina will ask them potentially as we go through if they're relevant. But first of all, I mean, clearly AI is an area that is developing in every sector of society, you know, whether we're talking about autonomous vehicles, whether we're talking about medical diagnoses, whether we're talking about financial services, tax, predictive policing, it affects every single area of those sectors, and legal services, of course. So what we've done with this course is to bring together existing knowledge and research and ongoing research that we're conducting at CCLS into different areas of AI. And we've drawn this together in an LLM program for you, which is a unique program which brings together academics in competition law, finance law, intellectual property, competition law, and tax, and draws them together to present this program that covers in-depth analysis of the legal issues in a range of areas pertaining to AI and the law. So in terms of the broad overall program, now what you will be doing on this program will be studying the technological, legal, and ethical issues. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to have a technological background. We will examine the relevant technologies, talk you through large language models. I know some of you may have a lot of expertise in technology and AI applications, whereas others may come from a less advanced background in terms of the types of technologies, apart from, I presume, using AI applications. So there's no expectation of a technological background, but we will explore different uses of AI technologies and applications, you know, from generative AI to uses in medical diagnoses to uses in predictive policing, etc. We'll also discuss the ethical and legal issues that arise from these technological uses. I mean, many of you, I'm sure, will have read many articles and news items on the ethical problems of uses of AI in terms of bias potentially and discrimination, but also in terms simply of transparency and understanding who is liable if a problem arises. We're thinking about autonomous vehicles and the chain of those involved in the development of autonomous vehicles. How is liability apportioned between those different parties? The manufacturers, the designers, the distributors, who's in charge of the ongoing monitoring of the life cycle and the issues that might arise as the autonomous vehicle is used, and who are the different potential regulators in there. So we look at all of those different aspects, looking at potential liability across different jurisdictions, because there may be cross-border issues, the ethical issues, obviously, and we look at the policy developments that are taking place. Now, obviously, this is an interesting and challenging area, and some countries are more advanced in their approaches to trying to regulate. Others are holding back and thinking perhaps we don't step in too quickly because that might damage innovation and prevent the further development of some of these technologies. So we look at both the policy approaches, the existing regulations, and the prospective regulations in a number of jurisdictions. And we look at how these apply in a number of different areas. So the examples given there: law enforcement, financial services, medical uses, production of content, shopping, online shopping, etc. And we do analyze these from the perspective of a number of different jurisdictions. I mean, we will look at the position from the EU and the EU AI Act. We will look obviously at what's happening in the UK, but we will also be looking at the developments elsewhere, what's happening in China, what's happening in Singapore, what's happening in Brazil, what's happening in the US. And presumably over the next year, I imagine there will be a number of further developments that we'll be exploring. So it is a course where there are new things happening every day, new developments in the types of technology and ongoing discussions about the policy approaches to regulating the technology. Now, we'll draw together the legal implications in a number of areas. So looking at some of the intellectual property questions. I'm sure all of you are familiar with generative AI, but the questions obviously arise as to who owns the output, the text or the drawings or the images that are created from generative AI. Can these be protected by copyright? And does the generation and the training of these AI models, does this potentially infringe the copyright of third parties whose works have been used to train the models? So there are various copyright issues, clearly, patent issues as to whether or not AI models can be patented, competition issues, clearly with the big tech companies, and a range of different legal areas that will be explored. So I just want to talk you through very briefly the structure, but please put questions in the Q&A if there's something else you would like answered. So in terms of the program structure, the program is 180 credits. It runs for the entire year. So you start in September and you finish with the submission of your dissertation in August. And you have to pass the 180 credits in order to gain the full LLM. There is also a diploma option, which is 120 credits, and a certificate option, which is 60 credits. And if anybody is looking at those, please do ask later. But to gain these credits, you'll take a range of modules. And these modules are either 15 or 30 credit modules. And in addition to that, you'll write a dissertation. Now, because we cover so many different areas, we give you the opportunity to explore one area in depth in your dissertation with the aid of a supervisor. And I'll come back to that. First of all, the compulsory modules. These are modules in comparative and international AI law, on AI rights and responsibilities, and dispute resolution. So these set the scene and outline the fundamental issues that you need to understand in order to be able to progress with the course. Now, there isn't an expectation that you have a background in technology law or in competition or tax law if you choose to take those modules as the optional modules. But the first module, Comparative and International AI Law, will give you that background, looking at the technological issues that you need to understand, the ethical issues that you need to understand, and we'll discuss what the legal problems are and the legal challenges and the emerging legal framework. And that module will provide the basis for you to then study other areas in more depth. Now, through the year, you'll also study a seminar on AI rights and responsibilities. And this brings a multidisciplinary approach to the subject area, looking at some of the economic issues, and again, focusing on technical issues and drawing from the different issues that arise in addition to some of the legal challenges that we'll talk about in the first module. So you will study in a more seminar-based approach, discussing these issues as they arise and delving into relevant and topical topics to explore them in more depth. Another vital issue in the area of AI is dispute resolution, both in terms of how judges are encountering AI in the courts and their understanding of AI and the evidence produced in relation to AI, and also in how AI can be used in dispute resolution. So the module on dispute resolution will analyze these developing approaches in the summer term and you will look at these in more detail around several case studies. So these are the 3 compulsory modules that you will take. In addition to that, you will study a dissertation. Now, this is the chance, as I said, to research on a topic of your choice. Now, that may seem daunting to some at this point, whereas for others, there might be a clear idea of, I really want to study liability issues in relation to autonomous vehicles, or questions of competition law in relation to big tech. But I would say by the time you get around to researching and writing your dissertation, it will not seem as daunting. There's plenty of time to think about topics, to discuss topics, and you will have a supervisor who's appointed to help you with your research, structuring and writing of the dissertation project. Now, what happens in the dissertation is that you decide on a preliminary idea for a topic, and then you'll meet with your supervisor who's been allocated to you, who will then help you explore that topic and define the limits of that topic, to work out, is this really suitable for a 10,000 word paper? Should it be broadened? Should it be narrowed? Should I consider comparing different jurisdictions? Do I have access to the right reading lists, etc.? And the supervisor will help to guide you in the supervisory sessions that will take place through the year. So you'll have meetings with your supervisor 3 times over the course of the year, and they will help you to develop your research and to develop your writing and structure your dissertation. And this is an ongoing project that takes place over the course of the year, and is submitted at the end of the year. In addition to those compulsory modules and the dissertation, you also have a number of free choices. So we have some optional modules which you can select a certain number from. Now, these modules go into great depth in the particular field of study, whether it's financial services, tax, competition law, IP, etc. So we have the AI and financial services module, which will look in depth at AI and its relationship with fintech and regtech, etc. Look at the uses of AI in financial services, the implications, the challenges, and again, how the regulatory framework is being developed in order to address these challenges. Again, this will be from an international perspective. We'll obviously look at the position in the UK and Europe, but also comparing and contrasting that with approaches in other jurisdictions. We also have the tax and technology module, and this module is exploring the challenges for the tax authorities with the developing field of AI, also the uses of AI in relation to checking and accounting for taxes, and also the changed infrastructure and the challenges that raises for tax authorities. So we'll explore these examples in detail, again through the use of case studies, and again, drawing from a comparative approach. We also have a new module on competition law and AI, looking at the challenges in relation to big tech companies and the competition issues that are arising, and the changes in terms of whether or not the existing competition law issues continue to apply in the same way when we're talking about AI. So this module will explore those aspects in more depth, drawing from developments in a number of different jurisdictions. Now, AI has also given rise to many concerns about security. Now, from the point of view of military issues, from the point of view of hacking and cyber attacks. So our module on law and policy will explore some of these issues, looking at the challenges, again, that AI has created in these areas, and the developments that have taken place or should be taking place to address these. So this module will focus on a number of these issues and explore them in more depth. Now, we also have a module that focuses specifically on the IP issues, looking at those questions of copyright protection, as I mentioned, in relation to AI-generated works and potential infringement with the training of AI models. But it will also explore questions of patents and protecting AI models, and also touching on aspects of trade secrets and trademarks. So looking at the different intellectual property issues that arise in relation to artificial intelligence. Now, in terms of your selection process, you can also choose 30 credits from the range of modules on the LLM. I mean, it may be that you come from a background in finance and you want to perhaps write your dissertation in an area related to finance, and you also want to use your extra 30 credits for focusing on particular financial issues. You can do this with this free choice in your LLM modules. But you also have the choice to choose the 30 credits from the optional modules as well. So if you decide, actually, I only want to focus on AI, you can make the choice from the optional modules that I have outlined. But for those of you who perhaps either want to try something different, that you're perhaps more interested, I don't know, in data protection law, or you're interested in mergers and acquisitions or animal law. As you can see, we have a huge range of different specialisms. And you can choose 1 or 2 modules for your 30 credits from this wide range of modules that we offer. Now, the LLM is one of the largest LLMs with, I think we have around about 180 modules on the program at the moment. And I've left the link there so you can have a look at the different modules that are offered. So it does give you the chance to bring something really unique to your LLM to distinguish you from other graduates. I mean, I would say already by choosing a master's in AI, you are distinguishing yourself because you're showing that in-depth knowledge of artificial intelligence and the legal challenges that arise. But it also enables you to bring together other specialist knowledge if you want to explore areas in more depth. I mean, I say another really strong advantage of our LLM is it does bring together an international cohort with students from a range of different jurisdictions who are all working together in the program under different specialisms. So it does enable you a very fun and useful ability to network with a large number of different students who are working in different areas, but who you may make some very useful connections with over the next year and keep in touch with. I would say a very strong aspect of our LLM program is that the modules that we offer are research-led offerings. So all of the areas that we offer our modules in are areas that the staff have researched over time, that are led by research interests. And we're very fortunate that the AI and the law program brings together some excellent academics from different areas, from finance, competition, IP, etc. So you will have the chance to work with experts in this field to develop your knowledge. So a few words about the university. I think one of the very lucky things at CCLS is we do have the chance to research and teach the areas that we're really interested in. So you will find that the academics are very keen to engage with the subject matter and are very interested if you have any knowledge about developments in your jurisdiction or examples that you have come across that might be useful. I mean, most of the areas we work in are constantly changing. So it is a fantastic opportunity for sharing knowledge and delving into research in these areas. We also because of the large program that we have, we do have a lot of community events, seminars, and opportunities for networking on top of the program that you study in. So you will have the chance to attend many events. You could probably attend one or two events every day if you wanted to, looking at different legal aspects or potentially CV writing or research skills or moots, etc. So it does give you an opportunity to enjoy or attend as much as you want to. I would also say, by being based in London, there are many external activities going on. And if you look at Eventbrite or any of the other events websites, you will find a range of different opportunities for you to network. And I suppose that's one of the things I would advise: take advantage of as much as you can. So internally, we have some fantastic provisions, including the Q Legal service, which is a service where you as a student can provide advice to startup companies. Now, this is run by some of our staff, and you can either join a module, so this could be part of your free choice, and work with some companies alongside a lawyer to advise them on the legal issues that are arising in their area. Or you could join Q Legal as some of your extracurricular activities and again engage in some of the more practical hands-on experiences of working with companies. I would say this is absolutely excellent opportunity. It gives you practical experience, but also gives you a chance to network and just to get to know some of the more practical nuances of giving advice in the area of your expertise. Now, in addition to Q Legal, we also have an excellent mentoring service where we hold mentoring events, which give you the chance to meet up with academics, with practitioners, and the range of contacts that we have who will come together for certain events. And you can be paired up with mentors who can then give you advice on career options, perhaps that you haven't thought about, different types of pathways that they might have taken that might be of interest to you, or even opportunities that come up. So these are, I think, two very valuable additional provisions that we have at the university that I would advise you to take full advantage of. I mean, obviously, in addition to that, we have our location, which is in the centre of London, the heart of legal London, with the Royal Courts of Justice just around the corner, and our facilities with also the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, where you can get access to the library books that you'll need for your courses. Then what happens beyond? Well, I am pleased to be able to say that we do have very high rates of employment beyond the LLM. So graduates from the programme who are monitored 6 months after they studied have fortunately been successful in their future activities. I mean, I would say this does come down to a lot of hard work on the part of graduates. It does mean taking advantage of all of the opportunities that are there and putting yourself forward whenever possible. But we provide those opportunities through mentoring, through Q Legal, to put you in the best position to look for internships and mentoring opportunities. On occasion, we also have access to, for those of you particularly who might want to carry on with further academic research, we have access to work on research projects sometimes. If one of the academics is working on a book or has a specific research project that they are working on at the time, there's sometimes opportunities to get involved there. And these will just come up as and when. So always look out for any particular opportunities that fall within your area of research. And obviously, we are always welcome. We're always happy to welcome people back who are keen to study further and continue on to do a PhD or further study with us. And I have to say, quite a number of people who've done the LLM have then come back to work at CCLS. So it's certainly an environment that many people are keen to stay in. I would say another very valuable aspect that we've really been working on the last few years is building up our alumni. And we have some great networks in over 100 different countries, and obviously a range of events that take place once students leave. Now, this is obviously useful for you once you leave, but it's also a valuable opportunity for you to make connections with our alumni while you're studying, and potentially to get some experience, some mentoring experience, or some support from them in terms of your future career. So we hold a number of different events in the UK, abroad, online, which also includes substantive events where issues are presented or careers talks are given, which will enable you to get to know some of the alumni that have studied on our programme over the years. So I've added in some links here. Hopefully Karina will share the page with you afterwards, but just to give you a chance to look at the different alumni network and testimonials that we have at the university. Okay, I've run through that very, very quickly. So I am hoping there are some questions that we can look at. Karina, is there anything we can address now?
Yes, there are a few. So I have two questions which we can roll into one. Um, Someone asked, how is this different from other law courses focusing on law and technology? And then this relates to another question. Someone is an offer holder for TMT, and they're wondering, can you still do AI and these modules as part of the TMT program?
Yeah, thank you, Karina. So I'd say we also, for anyone who has just looked at the AI program, also have our technology, media and telecommunications program. So I would say the technology, media and telecommunications is broader. So if you are interested in delving into more depth in terms of data protection, perhaps looking at some media angles, looking at some film studies, looking at e-commerce, drawing on telecommunications law and looking at perhaps online social media and the regulations that are relevant there, the technology and media program will enable you to do that because we have a choice of a range of options that doesn't just focus on AI. However, AI is obviously a large part of the technological developments. So even in modules that are not specifically focused on AI, any relevant AI developments will be covered. So I'd say it depends if your focus is broader than AI and is interested, perhaps a bit more in data protection, perhaps a bit more on comparative regulatory issues that focus, on digital services, perhaps, that focus on jurisdictional issues, that perhaps focus on cybercrime. This is what will be encompassed in the TMT program. The AI program is looking specifically at the AI issues in relation to these areas, whether it's used in financial services, in competition law, in intellectual property or tax, etc. Now, I would say these modules will be available on certain programs. So for example, if you're taking TMT, you can take the comparative and international AI module, and you can take the seminar on AI rights and responsibilities as part of your main modules. Likewise, on competition law, the competition law module sits there, financial services module sits there. But even if you're taking TMT, you do have some free choice. So you could take the AI modules that are available within TMT and use your free choice to take some of the specific AI modules, for example, competition law, for example, or financial services if you wanted to. So I'd say they're different in terms of their scope and how broad the TMT focus is. But there is the opportunity to study and engage with AI if you are taking TMT, just not to the same extent.
Thank you. Someone asked, does the program have a balanced legal sorry, I cannot speak today, a balanced legal policymaking and ethical perspective, or does the legal perspective trump the latter two?
I mean, I would say in this area, legal and policy really are going hand in hand because many jurisdictions have not sufficiently developed their legal frameworks yet to be able to deal with the challenges that are coming up. I would say ethics falls into all of those categories as well, because the policies are usually trying to deal with the ethical issues that are arising, and then that will flow on to regulation. I mean, certainly when we're talking in the first classes on comparative and international law, that will be very much focusing on those ethical issues, looking at questions of bias and discrimination, privacy, use of data, and drawing in those questions of liability. But that theme will run through all of the modules because those ethical issues arise, whether there's use in financial services, in relation to tax, or any of the other modules that you touch on.
Thank you. Someone asked, can you please comment on method of assessment for tax and technology module?
That is a good question that I may have to check. I think we'll have to check that and check whether it is an essay or an exam. I don't know off the top of my head, unless you can check online, Karina. It's probably on the web page under the module. I mean, I say this is a really interesting area, tax and technology, and it obviously has grown. And there have been so many developments in taxation over the last few years in terms of trying to tax big tech companies on their profits in jurisdictions other than where they are resident, and the sort of questions of big tech companies being able to perhaps hide their profits or avoid paying as much tax as would be expected given their services into a particular jurisdiction. So there are a lot of very interesting developments there, which will be explored in that module. Can you see anything on the web page, Karina? Or
No, I found the web page. I'll link it to the person that asked, but I don't think it has anything specifically about the method of assessment. But I'll send that to them. Okay. I think that's all of our questions. I think you've been quite thorough with your webinar.
good.
I
I mean,
did.
I would. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I did have one person, the offer holder for TMT, was hoping, I think, to get advice about if they should pursue TMT or change their offer to AI. And is it okay if they connect with you via email?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you can pass on my email address generally, I'm happy to discuss whether this is the right program for you. I am involved in both programs, so I don't have a preference for one program or the other. I think it really depends on what your plans are, what your outlook is, what your experience is, and what you want to do with it. I think TMT is, yes, it's that sense for giving you a slightly broader understanding of technological and media law issues. But the AI in the law program is just quite unique in the sense that there's a lot of regulatory and policy development in this area in a lot of different countries. And it's the ability to develop and amass and draw together all of that knowledge in a year that you can then take on and either use in terms of developing policies in other jurisdictions or bringing into companies who are working particularly in this field. So please do get in touch with me individually if there are questions that you have and you just want to discuss your own circumstances. I'm very happy to do that.
Amazing, thank you. And I've put Laura's email in the chat, which is l.edgar@qmul.ac.uk. And if for some reason you don't remember it, if you just look up Laura Edgar, Queen Mary, your profile will come up and your email will be on there. But that's it for questions. So thank you very much to Laura for hosting this webinar.
Thank you very much, Karina. And thank you very much for joining. I do hope we'll see you, most of you, in September, but please get in touch if you have any questions. And thank you very much. Good luck with whatever you choose. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.